Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. This is Dr. T, PhD, the prodigy of sports psychology. And today, as I sit out here on another gorgeous day in the Atlanta, Georgia area, I'm welcoming back an awesome guest, one of my very favorite guests right here on GoTarryn TV, not from Atlanta, Georgia, but from Idaho. I believe the Boise or Eagle, Idaho area, out that way. She's going to be coming on here momentarily. And before she does, I'd like to invite everyone out there to please like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. Now, as I mentioned, Chrissy Larsen, one of the founders of Reputize, is going to be coming on here momentarily to tell us about brand narrative, about what she does as a cheerleader for other companies to build their reputation, to help them control their brand narrative, all of those things that she not only educates them on, but myself as well, because I can learn so much from Chrissy as I did last time when I spoke with her. So I can't wait until she comes on here in just a few moments. And so we'll be having Chrissy Larsen, one of the founders of Reputize, right here on GoTarryn TV. And so don't go away. And remember, with GoTarryn Health and Fitness, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Long time no see and long time no talk. How's your new year going so far?
It's been great. It's been, exceptional so far. What about yourself?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, and again, thank you so much for your flexibility, Christy, because I know that we were scheduled, and I appreciate your flexibility. I literally just got back when I talked the last time from out of town for the holidays, and I feel like everybody's probably in the same boat that, it's kind of like the start of a new year, getting back. And I know that you yourself have launched a new endeavor as well, too, right? I'd like to talk to you about
Yeah,
that. It's exciting.
yeah, it's been going
It's
good.
cool.
We got a lot of interest, so it's been awesome.
It's great. Yeah, that's terrific. It's funny because I was looking at back on January 9th, 2017. So almost like exactly 6 years ago, that's when we first met on Skype. And we were kind of chatting and I got to learn more about you. And I guess for everyone out there who's watching us talk for the first time, Chrissy's been in health education and digital internet marketing and just a whole bunch of different hats that you've worn and been able to help customers out there with everything that you do with your consulting. So I guess if you don't mind, Chrissy, maybe just kind of formally introduce, since this is the first time we're chatting in 2023, and I guess we could kind of go from there and maybe talk about this new venture as well too.
Yeah, yeah, it's been really exciting. We are, it's funny because when we met because of the health venture, but it
Uh-huh.
was we had built an overlay on LinkedIn in order to create that, and that's really the evolution is what spurred this system. So they're all essentially linked because we use LinkedIn in order to build relationships that had to do with the health when we were testing it. And then when we built the subsidiary in order to help practitioners market themselves. And that one kind of overcame because if we had such success with that we pivoted and created a new company. And then when the word pivot became an unpleasant word, essentially after 2020, then we
Mm,
we
mm.
rebranded as a reputable marketing and monetization system. I mean, we're doing a lot of the same stuff, but
Mhm.
future forward. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. And you mentioned reputable. Is that, I assume, maybe where the kind of name came and founded? Is that kind of fair to guess?
Yeah, so we believe that the future of like companies and corporations, they're going to move much more into everyone that can be will be a contracted personal brand, and they will lean into reputation of those individuals. So they'll learn to harness everyone's social networks, and
Uh-huh.
that'll be the new marketing, that will be the new branding. So everyone will be independent contractors, everyone will work remotely, and you can work for multiple different brands, and it's based on your social network. So the larger your social credibility and your reputation is, the more monetizable you are as a personal brand and a brand advocate to these corporations and companies. And I kind of think that's where the future of the workforce is going. And so that's where we're really leaning into, is building that system to educate both corporations and individual employees or people that will now be brand advocates, how to do this, market themselves correctly.
Wow, Chrissy. And I think you were kind of ahead of the curve on that, because when you and I last talked, and we were mentioned about, yeah, this is before COVID, obviously, actually 3 years before even the start of COVID, before 2020. And so, when March, I guess 2020 happened, with the kind of origination of everything shutting down in the United States and nationwide, everything went to Zoom, everything went online. And, me as a personal trainer, everything went to virtual training and pivoting big time, in that regard, trying to figure out how to change my business model, and so many other people too in the same way. So I feel like you've already, before the pandemic, were kind of thinking that term anyway, you know what I mean? Like, because working from Boise, Idaho, and, when I met you and we were talking, all of your networks that you were working with at that time when you and I chatted 7 years ago, you had networks and colleagues out in, I think, Denver and New York, and even internationally, that you were working with. And so you were already kind of Zooming with people and working remotely. And so when you mentioned, Chrissy, about kind of the start of that pandemic, how adversely did that affect or impact, I guess, your company? Or what kind of challenges and obstacles were put in place that you kind of had to overcome during that time?
I think for well, there was like pros and cons, right? So the
Uh-huh.
pros, we were like, this is great, everyone's catching up. It was the fear of what individuals were doing, because we were working with a lot of solopreneurs at that time. And
Uh-huh.
so solopreneurs, if they were investing in themselves or marketing, education, it was fear based, so we lost
Hmm.
a lot of our solopreneurs that we were working with, but it allowed us to kind of look at all of the other opportunities that were out there. That's why we kind of switched to working with becoming a consulting firm and an education system, in order to teach people not to be fear based, to use anything, to use this as an opportunity, right? An opportunity to shift the model, which I think is going to be so be in control of their own destiny, negotiate on their own behalf, create just on their social presence, learn to
Hmm.
monetize that, and create multiple streams of revenue. I think that people are, like, it's a crappy way to get there. Obviously, COVID sucked, everything about it sucked, but I think there's so many pros. I choose to look at the pros of it. There was a lot of pros that came out of it. And I think the pivotal change in the way that we work, the how corporations hire, how we market ourselves as employees or contractors. I think that there's a lot that is going to come out of it, and that was the biggest thing that came, is making that shift. Is what we experienced. So, like I said, we lost a lot of employees kind of overnight when everything shut down. Everyone was like, holy crap, freezing everything that I'm doing. And then, within a couple months, when we were like, okay, let's reverse engineer why this happened, how we can change it, and as long as we don't all die, because at that point everyone was like, we're all gonna die, then we were able to come up with a brand new solution that looked more like the future.
Gosh, yeah, and I'm really interested and curious what you said, Chrissy, a few minutes ago too, as far as everyone becoming their own, not your words, but what I was hearing was their own identity, or their own independent contractor, so to speak. Like, for example, myself, I've always thought of myself as a sole proprietor, and working for myself and creating brand awareness. And when I was teaching at Georgia State University, one of the things that I was trying to employ into my senior students as they were going out in the real world, I was trying to encourage them to start branding themselves now. Like, even if they join a corporation or a company, I said, you, your own person, need to self-identify and create your own website, take your name.com, start it up, because you never know. And I remember that they were all laughing at me like, oh no, I'm going to join a nice company, make six figures right out of college. And I was like, all right, good luck. But I think that's really important what you said, Chrissy, because in my opinion, there's no greater reward than being able to work for yourself and being able to, again, not only yourself, whether it's a service or a product that you're offering, but in my case, I guess it's my time that I'm offering to people as a personal trainer. But I think it's so invaluable, and I could learn so much from you because, I have not mastered my social media presence whatsoever. I mean, I have Facebook, LinkedIn, and all that, but I honestly don't know or understand or comprehend, and I've, kind of consider myself fairly intellectual, but when it comes to social media branding, I still don't understand it. I don't know how people become, so Insta famous or high subscribers, great amount of video likes and such. To me, it's really weird because when I look at the content that catches on and becomes viral, I'll give you a great example, and you already know where I'm going with this. You see these videos of these kids who are playing with toys and they have 17 million, views or likes, whatever. And it's just like, that's really interesting. I just wonder what defines content to where people, and I mean, what I'm saying that I don't know, you do know. And that's why I'm kind of curious, to pick your brain in that regard. I mean, I know that's a fully loaded question and try to answer, but I guess in terms of maybe a simple, short question for you here is, what is it that, even using myself as an example, people like me, what are we missing in terms of why cannot we get on there and create such a social media presence? Because I feel like I'm still stuck after all these years in that regard.
It is a definitive mindset. So
Mhm.
if you look at the people that are super successful, they have definitively decided that they're going in one direction. They're all in on it.
Hmm.
And when someone shares and influences from a definitive mindset,
Huh.
then when people see it, they automatically start to opt in. So you see these individuals that are doing this and they are so opted in mentally to what they're doing, like
Yeah.
emotionally, physically, everything, that you believe, like you trust what they're doing. It emanates that energy. And so
Sense. Yeah.
by deciding who you are, so think of it as a brand narrative.
Uh-huh.
When you tell someone your about yourself, like, do you say the same words like consecutively over and over and over again? And so when you define your brand and you decide who you are and how you want people to see you, you control that brand narrative. So people aren't deciding about you, you're controlling what you want them to think about you, right? You're deciding the reputation that you're perceiving.
Yeah.
And when these people that are so successful, they've decided, this is my audience, this is what they want, and I've decided that I'm going to go all in with this now. And then people, like I said, people will start to trust that, because that is such a rare thing. People are all over the place. They can't make up their mind on anything. Now, when someone can't make up their mind, and you look at their life, like they hop from relationship to relationship, they hop from job to job, their whole life is a ping pong. But when someone then decides, right, like, I'm going to become a doctor, and they go all in, now that's a definitive mindset. And everyone's like, yeah, that person's a doctor. You know what I mean? And so it's learning to decide, basically creating a vision board for your life and saying, these are the things that I'm going to definitively decide. And I'm going to put that out there, that energy out there into the universe. And I'm going to control my own brand narrative. And that's really what we're teaching, is telling you to make up your mind. And it takes exercise. It's like going to the gym, right? It's a muscle you have to exercise. You have to say it to yourself over and over. You need to say it and practice it to thousands of people over and over and over again. And the more you say it, the more you speak it, the more you become it. And that's why those people are successful. When they first start posting videos or talking about this one thing that they've decided on, then they only have a few people. But then they have one supporter, and then that person talks about it, and they have another supporter, and then it just starts to grow. There's a really great TED talk on it about the person dancing on the side of the hill, And then one person comes. It's not the person that went up and started dancing on the hill. It's the person that supported them. And then as the crowd starts to join. And
Huh.
so you have a concept, you influence that one person that gives you the confidence to continue. And then now you start to have the mass evolution of influence on all these people.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny, Chrissy, when you just told me about that TED Talk example. I was speaking to one of my personal training clients yesterday about similar topic of discussion of, he was telling me the idea of this 17-year-old that he met that became a multimillionaire by a fluke. The 17-year-old, when .coms were becoming popular, secured a .com website. I don't know what it was, but it was very, lucrative. Of course, whatever big giant company approached him and gave him $1 million and bought it from him. And then he took that $1 million and he went and he bought 3 different Dunkin' Donut franchises. And now the guy is a multimillionaire, I think, with 10 Dunkin' Donut franchises, and he's like in his mid 20s. And that kind of ingenuity, like what you were saying in that dancing example, is momentum. And it sounds like momentum and inertia is important because he was telling me about another example or story about, have you heard of this concept of the paperclip? Does this sound familiar? I
I don't
hadn't
think so.
either. And he told me it's something that's really going on social media and going viral. Basically, this is what it is. Somebody started with a paperclip and wanted to trade it with any other tangible object, basically, that was worth more money than the paperclip. And then from that object, that person would trade that same, that person would go and anywhere in the whole country, like you drive to California or Midwest or East Coast, and basically, until that person had traded so much stuff that was more valuable than the previous object, that somebody gifted him a house to trade for the object that he transferred, starting all the way from a
Wow.
paperclip. Yeah, yeah. So when I hear stories like that, it kind of relates, I think, to what you were saying, that the inertia, the momentum, it's like kinetic movement, kind of like once it's slow to start. Of course, you have to start somewhere, but I guess once you build it up so big, I guess that's what you were so good about with being able to consult and help people be able to get to that end goal, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's encouraging, right? So I become their cheerleader.
Uh-huh.
Now they've got that one person on their side that's in their ear all the time saying, "You've got this," and
Right.
coaching them and cheerleading them to move in that direction. And then I
Uh-huh.
start driving more attention. And what I'm doing is I'm building more and more cheerleaders, and they're getting more
Hmm.
and more confident in their decision to follow this one narrative, this brand narrative, which is them, which
Interesting.
defines them,
Yeah.
right? And then
Right.
as they start to get more and more ballsy, right? Because they're getting more and more success, then it starts to
Uh-huh.
amplify even more. Now they have more cheerleaders that are sharing and drawing people to them because they're starting to comment, and now they're starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as long as they chose the right brand narrative, which is really where we're coaching them, like helping them to figure out, is this your core want and need? Does this solve the
Uh-huh.
solution of you? Does this define you? Does this make you happy?
Huh.
Does this bring you joy? Right. And so if they can get that correct, then yeah, you'll just start to see them blossom and blossom because once you find your authentic self and we put it on display and people start to really, really opt into you, the more superhuman you become, essentially. You start to feel and everything incredible, everything that you're capable of starts to, you become limitless, right? You now
Hmm.
start to see the limitations that you had mentally set for yourself start to evaporate, and you start to become more and more and more successful in your thoughts, stuff that you didn't even think that was a possibility for you. Now you see are a goal that you can reach. And so now you keep upping your goals, because the more and more goals you hit that you didn't think you were even possible for you, the more possibilities you start to see.
Yeah, that's very well said, Chrissy, because I think you're right. The heart and spirit of an entrepreneur is to take risk and to, just basically face fear and go out there and take those initiatives. And I can't agree with you enough that you're so right that what you do is, I guess, if I use the word coach, so to speak, you said cheerleader, to be right there with that person and help them. That is so important, that support, because that moral support, because I think a lot of people, me included, will give up on a project if we don't have that coach, cheerleader, advisor, consultant right there, kind of cheering us on and telling us, you got this, don't give up. Because in many ways, I think that's probably what holds people back. I can see that. And again, using myself, I can give you plenty of examples in that regard. So I can totally relate to everything you're saying. And so that's why I really commend what you're doing with now is it Reputize?
Reputize.
Reputize. I'm sorry, Reputize. So I wanted to ask you about that. You founded this, is it in October, I believe, last year?
Yep.
Well, yeah, okay. So how did you come up with this kind of where we're at now with Reputize, and maybe just go in a little further depth of where you kind of see the vision of the company growing from this year to the next for the next 5 years?
So we went live November 6th, and we had over 1,500 people that has responded with interest into what we're doing. It's
that's incredible.
Changing what is outdated is people want it. You know what I mean? They want to see this shift. They want to do things, be more efficient, to understand how to monetize this reputation and things. Like, for example, like Chat GPT, you saw time is shrinking based on technology. So from how long it took for some of these larger companies to grow to how long you had the adoption rate of people opting in and utilizing Chat GPT shrunk from, years to weeks with the mass adoption. And so when you think about that, and you look at the opportunity for growth, if you are future forecasting of what does our future look like using technology? What does our future look like for redefining, like we're working with a company that we're redefining credit. So credit is in the banking system. Now you got to rethink it with digital currency and stuff. And so what does that look like? So they've come up with a system that allows the ability to pay. So rather than leveraging off of a FICO score, you are able to get finance and traditional financing like Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae financing with the bank and show your ability to pay with stuff like Venmo transaction, Cash App transactions, PayPal, all of these things that people are getting paid by creating additional streams. They're doing Uber Eats and all of these things. They're affiliate systems where they're getting paid from different places. Now that shows different payments. It also integrates rent payments. A lot of people pay rent, but that doesn't go on your credit report and it doesn't go to your ability to pay. So, the 45 million underserved individuals that could own a house, now there's going to be a new option, which, so think about all of these different opportunities and how things are changing. If credit is changing, we have to rethink financing, right? You have to think about your financial DNA. If your social network is now a way to monetize and make money off of that, you have to think about your personal social DNA. Like there's all of these different ways that technology has changed. And so I think that kind of looking at life and having an open mind to all the possibilities of what it can be is a really great thing. So with that, that's kind of where we are, is helping people to understand how reputation management is a way to monetization. And that's where I see it going. I see a big adoption into brand management, brand advocacy, and changing the way that corporations hire. So I think that's where this is going to go.
Wow. You said, is it 1,500 people that had launched on the November 6th date for Reputize? It's
been pretty crazy.
Amazing.
Trying to respond. And then
goodness.
And then we launched that we're hiring, because one of the things that we're doing is helping companies to hire in place, because like, for example, you don't need a full-time employee, but you need a team of maybe 20 different people to launch a really good branded marketing strategy, brand advocacy, to merge sales and marketing where they're working cohesively. But you don't need a 40-hour-a-week employee of 40 different employees. You can have bits and pieces, and you can share with other corporations. And so we launched yesterday, and we had hundreds and hundreds of people. I mean, like so fast that LinkedIn turned off of our stuff because we had so many people apply immediately
Wow.
for all of these different positions. Like it's, like I said, I think it's the way of the future. And I think that we're onto something. So it's really exciting. I think 2023 is going to be an incredible year of change, of the way that people see the possibilities of what they are. Everyone is so afraid of the financial collapse and the big
Mm,
resignation. I
mm,
think it's
mhm,
opportunity. The resignation is an opportunity to position yourself differently, to give yourself more time, more freedom, that work-life balance that everyone is craving. I think that that's
mhm.
what this opportunity is. So rather than seeing it as a negative, I think that we're going to be able to help people see it as the biggest opportunity of their life.
That's a good point, Chrissy. It sounds like you have definitely pinpointed, identifying exactly what to, you definitely know your brand narrative of, what you're doing with helping the reputation for companies. And I strongly believe that what you said, that you're ahead of this right now. This is the new wave of the future, so to speak. So it is really exciting. And like you mentioned too, you were making me think about that I hadn't thought about that till now strongly with this whole recent latest scam. I forgot the guy's name, the FTX. You know what I'm talking about, the online Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, be very blunt. I don't even know or understand anything about Bitcoin or crypto coin, but I think a lot of people have seen that they look very worrisome. Like just the street talk I hear from the people I know, that they don't want to do that type of currency because they're scared or worried. But it is, like you said, your words, a pivotal time, because this is opportunity right now, the way things are shifting and changing. And now we're kind of, what, maybe 3 years after the pandemic. Hopefully, most people would think things can only get better, right? I mean, I would guess from this point. Certainly, I wouldn't think we would go back to, say, masking and all this other stuff with shutdowns and closings. But if, as we're climbing out of this, I think it's great timing for you and Reputize to do this, kind of the inception of taking advantage of this good momentum from, like we said earlier, there's a good starting point here. And it sounds like a really strong starting origination for your team as well.
Yeah, I think, my mission with this is
Hmm.
all that programming of fear that was
Yeah.
put into the entire globe, like community as a whole. I want
Yeah.
to pre-program it as anticipation
Huh.
for success. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
change
Hmm.
it and say, take that fear as much as people felt and as alone and scared as they felt, be
Yeah.
anticipating all of the positivity that can come out of this, because we know that really crappy situations from all of history
Uh-huh.
is the only way that you can change perception as a whole. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like something massive, a crisis, like someone that eats really crappy, drinks all the time, abuses their body. The only way that they stop is through a crisis. They're
Hmm.
like 99.9% of the people I worked in proactive healthcare for 15 years. And
Right. Right.
I would say 99.9% of the time, people did not just like wake up one day and be like, hey, you know what? I've been treating myself like crap and I'm going to change my mind about everything I've been doing. The only reason they do it is because either they hit a medical health crisis or someone they
Yeah.
love hit a medical health crisis. You know what I
Ah,
mean? Like they
interesting.
don't
Yeah.
just change. People,
Hmm.
when they're like on a trajectory like of
Yeah.
chaos, the only way they change is through a crisis. Now we hit a
Huh.
crisis. Now we can either look at it and put our tails between our legs and feel sorry for ourselves and stay in that mindset of fear, or we can
Hmm.
change it and harness it for success. You know what I mean? Like use that energy. Energy can be positive or negative, right? It's just like
Huh.
that really fine line. So you can step over that fine line and use that energy for success and momentum. And I think that, that's my mission with this, is to change that fear and propel people to be successful and think of it as a positive energy versus a negative energy.
That's a terrific mission statement there, Chrissy. I really commend you for, thinking that optimistically. I'm a strong believer too that change is good. That out of crisis, that we could overcome things and kind of turn tragedies into triumph, so to speak. Which is what it sounds like you're the, you know, very, very doing a great job of that, helping people do that and consulting them. So again, very, very well done. Well, Chrissy, I promised that I didn't want to keep you past your time, and this 30 minutes has flown by so fast. But before we let you go, last couple questions here. Tell us, please, I guess people, I know they can reach you directly through LinkedIn, and that, I'm assuming that's probably the best way to learn more about you and maybe learn more about Reputize as well.
Yeah, I love LinkedIn. You know, I'm a LinkedIn nerd, so LinkedIn is my home.
Yeah, you're definitely, you got a great presence on there. There's no question, with thousands of, tens of thousands, I should say, followers. I've seen that. And with Reputize now, I'm sure that's going to just continue to grow as well. So I'll make sure to put your LinkedIn link on the screen when we fade to black here momentarily. But before we get out of here, any final words or anything that you'd like to kind of conclude today with in terms of, with Reputize and everything that your team's doing right now?
Just thank you for having me. It's fun to catch up and talk about this. And like you said, if you're in a place where you feel like say you've been laid off or there's been a mass layoff and stuff like that, think of it like harness it as a positive. Like, what are all the opportunities that you being laid off of, like doing a mental reset? What could you do? What have you always wanted to do that this now gives you the opportunity to do it? It's kind of like when COVID hit and all of a sudden we had this time to spend with our kids and spend with our, you know what I mean? Like the loved ones, go hiking during the middle of the day, like all of these
You're
things that
right.
a lot of people didn't have. With every negative, there's a positive. Try to find that positive out of it.
Love it. Very, very great way to summarize it, Chrissy. You're absolutely right. So, again, great job. Awesome video interview with you. And let's please, it's great to catch up with you, but let's definitely stay connected, please, because, again, I really learned so much from you. I feel like just by knowing you and being able to converse this way, and you've helped me immensely in this last half hour rethink myself about my own brand and narrative. So I really appreciate it, Chrissy. And thank you so much for your time. And we'll let you get out of here. And again, good luck with Reputize. And I wish you nothing but the best of success and continued success through 2023. And I'll definitely see you both here on Video Blog as well as on LinkedIn too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It
My
was so
pleasure,
nice to catch
Chrissy.
up. Okay.
Oh, likewise. Thank you. And as we fade to black right now, here comes your LinkedIn contact right now.